Welcome to Botanical Trails Through the Juniper Forest. I'm your host, Brian Heater. Each week, I'll have a different guest join me to explore a pair of interesting gins. We'll chat a little bit about the gin and the distilleries, throw in a bit of trivia, hopefully laugh a bit, and then we'll go off the beaten path. Although I say that this is a podcast about gin, really this is just an excuse for me to spend time with my friends. But that'll just be our secret. Okay, let's start exploring. My guest today, for the third time, Brian Place.
Hey.
Thanks for coming on.
I'm almost a regular at this point.
Yeah, I'm going to have to, what is it? Once you hit, is it 5 on Saturday Night
I think it's 5, yeah.
You get a smoking jacket?
A smoking jacket?
Yeah, I'll have to think of something that'll be much cheaper, and I'll have to run the numbers up higher.
Yeah, and more like a gin appropriate than a smoking jacket.
Exactly. Maybe
a coaster.
Yeah, a coaster. A fun t-shirt. Something such as. So, today, thanks for coming out. We're going to do a couple of Spanish gins.
Yeah.
So there was a new one I had tried over the summer, and then Rishi had recommended one to me when we were actually looking at gins to do for his show.
Okay.
But since I had a gin from the UK at the time that I wanted him to try, I was like, oh, let's put that one on hold and we'll try that. So this first gin is the one that he recommended. I have literally never had this. I didn't have time this weekend to try it out. So it is called Mayora Gin. And let's give it a try, and then I'll tell you a little bit about it.
Cilantro or
cheers.
Cheers.
Not cheers. You've been to Spain.
Yeah,
what is it?
They say it's not ting ting, it's like ching ching or something like that.
Okay, we'll say that.
Ting ting. I can definitely smell citrus or something on this.
Mm-hmm. I'll let you know what's in it. Oh wow, that is smooth.
That's very, very good. Wow.
All right. The cocktail, I went with, he recommended using Mediterranean tonic. And then I hopped on their Instagram page to see what they did. And it is, they put lemon is what they've been. But lemon's not in it.
No, but the lemon, you're saying they
garnish the
garnish it with lemon.
But
there's definitely citrus in there. Is it like...
Would you like to guess?
Bergamot? Or no? Or, no, I don't know. What is it?
All right. So, from what I can guesstimate from trying to do some research, this gin came out in 2019. And as far as I could tell, it's a bit unique in that it only contains 4 botanicals.
Really?
So in addition to juniper, fig leaves, rosemary, and solar oranges.
Solar.
So that's, I think, where you're getting that little bit of citrus. So,
wow.
One of their slogans is the beauty of simplicity that our island represents. So the other interesting thing about both gins that we're doing are they're both on islands off the coast of Spain, in the Mediterranean. So, this one comes from, it is called Bodegas Suau, which is a traditional winery. It is on the Isle of Majorca. It's Mallorca, which is in the Mediterranean. They have been around since about 1851. What they're really sort of known for is their brandy. But they also make rum and gin, and then also an orange brandy. So they're a traditional Majorcan winery, kind of family run, and they've been around since 1851. So making stuff for over 170 years. And that was the gist of what I could find out about them.
So what I noticed from this was and we haven't gotten into the cocktail itself yet, but we got just a taste test of the gin. Not a real burn to it at all.
No.
I mean, this is super smooth.
Yes.
I mean, straight. We're drinking this neat, and it is very nice.
Yeah.
It could be trouble. In a word.
And trouble's looking fine.
Yes, it is. Hello, River City.
Oh, well, that's unfortunately delicious. So,
yeah, that is just so smooth.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's one of the better gin and tonics
that's
I've made
like
in a bit.
not even. I mean, you don't really have a punchy,
No,
gin taste to it. It is just absolutely
yeah. And the other sort of when I post the pictures on the Botanical Trails Instagram page, but the bottle itself is like white, so it looks like it's what's the heck? What the heck is that one material that bottles some stuff in? Now I'm blanking completely on it.
You're talking like clay, like it's a clay bottle?
It looks like that, yeah. It's not clay, but I'm trying to think. Anyhow, but it's not that at all. It's actually like a glass bottle that I think they just spray paint white. But it looks like, not plaster, but what am I trying to say?
Alabaster?
No, well, the white one. But I don't know. There's there's that gin from...
Like the Scottish
gin,
one with the rose?
Scottish gin, yes. Yes. It came in that style of bottle.
The one I can't stand?
Yeah. This looks like it, but it's not that. So
no, this bottle I like.
Yeah. So this bottle, it's just a little glass bottle. But anyhow, so this is his recommendation, and I can totally understand why he would recommend this gin. Because
I may be headed over to Rishi's to get a bottle.
Yeah, I'll have to let him know that it got
might want to. He might want to get another shipment in.
It looked like he had plenty when I was there. But
Yeah.
so between the two of us, you have been to Spain.
Yes.
I was supposed to go, and COVID canceled that trip for me. But you've been, and was it just to Barcelona that you went?
No.
Did you see other parts of the country?
We went to, it was 2017, and we did a tour through a tour company with our friends, the Bolens, and we started in Madrid, and we kind of did like if you can picture Spain, we kind of did this crazy J sort of trek. Okay. So we started in Madrid, went down to Toledo, and then went over to Cordoba, then Seville, or Sevilla, however you pronounce it, and then Granada to Alhambra, and then from there to Valencia, and then finished in Barcelona, or Barcelona as they say over there.
Was it a bus, or did you go by train, or both? Or
it was bus, but we would spend like a couple of days in each, mostly a couple of days in each of the cities. So, and do kind of like when we were in Madrid, we actually stayed an extra day in Madrid before the tour kicked off. And so we were kind of allowed to go sort of on our own devices. And then we picked up with the group, did some things in Madrid with like the Prado, with a big museum there. And the park, they have a huge park that is not necessarily a comparison to Central Park, but it's very big. And it has a lot of different little areas to it, kind of like Central Park does. And then we went from there to Toledo or Toledo, and then we went to some of the other cities. But our favorites were in Granada at Alhambra. There's I guess it's Isabella and Ferdinand's castle there. Used to be there. Okay. And I guess it was more kind of a glorified fort, and it sits in just an absolute gorgeous area. It's kind of on a hill between valleys, or overlooks a valley. Yep. And it's just stunningly beautiful. And from there, we went to Valencia, which is known for paella, and we love paella. And it's kind of on the ocean there in the Mediterranean. And then up to Barcelona, where we stayed an extra day or two. And Barcelona was my absolute favorite. Barcelona. Yeah, everything about it I love.
That's where I was supposed to go.
Yeah. Oh, man, I can't recommend it enough.
And it was going to be cool because we had found a place, I don't know, through like Airbnb or something like that. It was going to be like a little apartment, and it was above like a comic book store. And it was like right like on some thoroughfare.
Oh, yeah.
Would have been great. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. So maybe someday in the future we'll try to do that again.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you have to. I mean, Barcelona is just, it's gorgeous. And it's, I tell everybody that
Sagrada Familia, the big church there that's been under construction since 1882.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that new one. Is it done yet?
No, it won't be. It won't. Well,
they're halfway there.
No. Well, yeah, they're a little more than halfway there. So, okay, the story on it is Gaudi, who's the architect, was killed in 1926 just outside of the. Well, he wasn't killed officially there, but he was run over by a tram just outside the church, and was kind of like left there for a day or two because people thought he was just a homeless beggar or whatever, and then they realized, oh no, that's the guy over there that's building the church. So then they took him to the hospital, and where he died another day or two later. But anyway, they're trying to finish like the principal part of the cathedral. I mean, the cathedral itself is really done, but the exterior, there's some other pieces that are still being built and won't be done until 2026, which is 100 years from when he passed.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So they're trying. There's parts.
Does it look super modern, or isn't there something?
It looks incredibly strange. It looks like something out of Star Wars, in that it's got these crazy spires to it that they look like they're created by an ant colony. So if you think of those just weird shapes that it has, but it is, so it looks like this weird natural kind of dirt earth, and it's not until you get very close to it that you can see all of the sculptures and stuff that are done on the outside and all of the stories that are kind of being told with those sculptures. But that's all really cool, and people just kind of walk by it and they go, that's weird. It's very strange. But when you go inside, it's probably the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Really? Wow. Okay.
I mean, it's so stunning. I can't even put it to words. There's stained glass that is, you can't really see it from the exterior where it is, but the sun hits it from all different directions, and there's so many different colors that they have going in there. It's literally like a rainbow inside the church.
Oh, wow.
And it's not built like your normal cathedral or normal building with, all these vertical beams and all these other. No, it's got cockeyed beams that go on an angle. It's very much intentional to be kind of like a natural, what would be created in nature, like by, you see how.
So if like Dr. Seuss.
Absolutely.
Built a
No, seriously. That's what people will like try to give, visuals to folks. And it's like, think of some crazy Dr. Seuss building, but it's really interior. It's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. It's just stunning.
So instead of Horton hears a who, it's more like Horton says a prayer.
Yeah, exactly. I should have. I would have cut down my explanation and good nutshell version right there. No, but it is truly beautiful, and the food was fantastic there. You're right at the Mediterranean too. And then we went to, and I'm blanking on the name of the monastery that we went to, but it was like way, way up into the hills. Like, I don't know how they got materials to this place. And it has I can't remember the name of it, but it's supposed to be like the black baby Jesus, I think. It's a special sculpture that, for whatever reason, it's dark or black as black stone.
Oh, okay.
And they had to hide it during World War II when the Nazis were coming through and everything, and so there was a whole effort. So now they have it out kind of on display, but but this monastery is amazing, and it is so far up, and people will bicycle up there, and I don't know how they do it. I wouldn't be able to do it at all, but anyway, it's incredible. Yeah, it's absolutely incredible.
No, I'd like to get there someday. My sister Lori's been to Barcelona. She loves it. My friend Jamie, who was on last season, she's been there. She enjoyed it. I've just heard great things about, Barcelona. Other parts of the country as well, but the majority of people whom I know who have gone to Spain have ended up in Barcelona, and they all just rave about it.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh, real quick, you mentioned one of the towns you were in before you got up there.
Yeah.
you had tried paella.
Yeah.
So real quick, what is in that? Because all I know about it is you basically have to put it in an order like 3 days beforehand.
Yeah, because it cooks
forever.
it cooks like for 50
So
minutes.
I don't think I've
hour.
ever had it.
So okay, so we actually have made paella. We've got a friend of ours who has a paella pan that we bought for him as a special gift because he loves to make paella. He hasn't made it in a while. Scott Clausen, if you're listening, you owe us some paella. My only problem is now I'm allergic to shellfish, so I can't eat half of it. So what it is it is a big pan about, depending on how big, 4 inches deep maybe. Okay. And it's like and they put it over a fire. And so it has, they will do like chicken thighs, chicken drumsticks and stuff like that, whole. They put it in the pan and they fry it up, and then they will put in, vegetables like, onions and some carrots and some other stuff. But it's also known for having shrimp, mussels, all kinds of seafood, chorizo. So they'll put in sausage in there too. And then in the end, what they do is there's also like a bunch of chicken stock and the like that they'll throw in there to kind of simmer everything up. And they throw in rice, and the rice gets crispy on the bottom. And then it kind of, when it simmers all down, then the rice is it's all sort of a rice dish. But it starts out, as having all that liquid. But it's a huge pan, so it feeds like about 50 people, because depending on the size of the pan. And so they have in Valencia, they had different kinds. So you could get like some without seafood. If you're anti-seafood, you could just get
that
chicken.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah. For guys like you, and now apparently guys like me who can't have the shellfish, would have the chicken and the chorizo, light on the seafood. And then they will also put, some of it would be, one they would do is squid ink. So it's black.
Oh.
It's really good, but it's not for everybody because they all get turned off by the look of it, right? But it's just got a little bit more salt to it, or it just tastes a little saltier. Might be a little... there might be a little more to it, but that's basically what it is. And so there's different types of paella. They'll do like a vegetarian and stuff like that, but
sure,
those don't cook as long. Yeah.
And you said it takes, on average, how long to cook?
Yeah, it'll take, when we've done it, we do it over an open fire, and my friend Scott Clausen has a special rig that he has that will lower that pan down closer to the fire when he needs the real heat, and then kind of up when you just want it to simmer. And it will take, because you've got, all the whole bunch chicken. You got a whole bunch of chickens that you gotta cook up, and then it takes the rice kind of that long to really soak up all that liquid. So it takes about 45 minutes. Okay, and a real good one, at least 45 minutes.
Gotcha. Yeah. It sounds good though. I'll have to try that someday.
Oh, it's very tasty.
Yeah,
it's very tasty.
I'll have to.
But it's.
Check that out.
Yeah, but I would stay away from the shellfish version for you, sir.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get in 10 feet of that. I wouldn't even do it on a bet. It just would be...
It's very good. But what I did find there, though, interesting for your podcast here, the Spanish love their gin and tonics.
Well, if they make it like this, I can understand why.
They do. We went to it was just a bar. We were waiting for a table to actually go to a restaurant. So there was a bar next door. We went over to it, and probably the best, certainly one of the prettiest gin and tonics I've ever had was from there. I'll show you a picture later, but it was full on, and it was fabulous. It was, I'm trying to remember the name of the gin. Mare? No.
Was it this one?
No, it wasn't this one.
Okay.
No, it was a totally different bottle. I'll show you.
So we're doing these two today. The only other Spanish gin I can think of that I've done on the show has been Alchemist. Oh, Gin Mare. I had this on the cruise on the Rhine that I did with my mom and sisters last year, and
I don't know if that one's...
The bartender was like, I have this gin you need to try. And he gave me a gin and tonic of that. It was
That
good.
was that was the gin and tonic they made with that. And for those of you at home, it's a gorgeous picture of a gin and tonic with a sprig of rosemary and a quarter lemon.
Lemon,
excuse me.
yeah. It must be lemon is what their go-to is for garnish there. So
I think so too, because
because the
prevalent in
the next one will also be garnished with lemon.
Yeah.
So that must just be there.
and you have a couple of them, you can understand why would you change it.
No, this drink is delicious. So okay,
Yeah,
first round of trivia. We decided you would go first.
I will go first.
And thank you. We a couple of episodes ago we finished the gin trivia, and so you graciously purchased these cocktail trivia questions that we are now doing. So, all right,
I try to enable my friends wherever I can.
I appreciate it. Okay, so this falls under a dry run. So, just like the last episode, this is a question about bootlegging and prohibition. So, question is, which was the only U.S. state to never enforce any prohibition laws? Answers are A, Florida, B, Idaho, C, Massachusetts, or D, Maryland.
Wow.
And I'm happy to repeat the question and answers if you need either of those.
So, my gut is to say Idaho just because I'm not sure if it was a state during Prohibition, but I think it was. And there's a significant part of their population that would probably not have alcohol anyway. I'm going to go with Idaho.
Idaho, that would have been a good guess. No, it was D, Maryland.
Maryland?
Yeah.
Dang it.
My guess is because they were right next to D.C., and of course it was going to be do as I say, not as I do.
Oh, that doesn't apply to us.
Yeah. Well, thank God we don't deal with that anymore. So
Yeah. Oh, how times have changed.
All right. Well, we will take a short break. I will prepare the second gin, and we'll be back.
I hope this is as good as the next one. So.
It's pretty tasty. It's a little different, so you'll see.
Okay.
All right. We'll be back. All right. We are back, and with our second gin, this is one that I discovered over the summer, actually when I went out to Gins for my birthday. And so it is Shoragare Mahone Gin.
Okay.
It's Xoriguer and then Mahone Gin. So, give it a try, and then there's something sort of unique about this gin that I will then explain.
There's something going on in this one. There's a lot more going on in this one than the other.
It's got different.
It has there's a little medicinal smell on it I can't put my finger on.
It's also smooth, but it's got like a little
there's a little bite on the end of it.
Yeah, exactly.
But it doesn't have
not like an alcohol bite, but it's like a little.
There's a tiny little bit of alcohol burn on it, but not like. I mean, the other one was non-existent. This one has a little bit, but it's more. I can't figure out what that medicinal part is.
Yeah, it's a little different. Okay,
hold on.
Okay.
Is there rosemary or thyme in this one? Because I can smell something.
Well, there's rosemary.
I know in the drink.
Drink. No, I could not get a lot of information.
Just my nose.
I couldn't get a lot of information on like all the different botanicals that go into it.
Oh man.
But what is unique about it is what the base spirit is. Would you like to venture a guess before I...
No.
Okay. So So first of all, this gin has the rare distinction of being one of only 2 geographically designated gins in the world. So due to where it's like located.
So like Plymouth Gin?
I think Plymouth was one, but they actually gave up that designation then. But yes. So, but it is also unique for 2 other reasons. So one, the base spirit is a high quality wine. So it's a grape-based
Really?
spirit. Yep. And then the juniper berries are aged for 2 years. Which supposedly will then concentrate their aromatic profile.
Okay.
So those are sort of the 2 unique things of it. Now, as I mentioned, this is also on a neighboring island. Oh, sorry, did you have a question?
No, I was just going to say, but with that juniper, it's not really, it doesn't slam you like a lot of the dry gins do, with it being very pine needle-y and everything else that everybody says about that Christmas in a cup. It's muted. It's not quite as full in your face.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean,
sorry.
No. I'm guessing it might be due to the aging.
Okay.
Much like us.
It mellowed it out.
We're not right in your face. We're more mellow. So. Okay. So this distillery is based on Menorca. Menorca.
Okay.
In Mahone. Now, Mahone is named after the brother of Hannibal.
I did not know that.
Yeah, Hannibal of Carthage, who took the
rode the
elephants.
elephants.
Exactly. So, and so this is how they kind of started doing gin. The Mahone has a very deep water port, and in the 1700s, Great Britain came in and said, "Hey, this sounds good. We're going to park some of the Royal Navy here." And the British sailors were drinking their gin.
Gin drinkers?
And
what?
And so the local folks, instead of trying to just import it, we're like, hey, we'll start making this gin and we'll use this great base spirit that we have. We can use this like nice wine to make this gin. So that's how it started first coming along. And then you may have noticed when you walked in, the little glass bottle has like a little handle, like a little hook on it. So back in the day, it was first sold in stoneware jugs with a loop that was introduced for easier handling. And now that's kind of like a signature brand symbol of those. So what had happened was they started making like gin in the place around 1750s. Over time, a lot of the distilleries kind of just faded away. They had one big main one. It burned down. But an employee there named Miguel Pons Gusto built then a new distillery and sort of like rescued the business, and he had the original gin recipe, which is this Mahone gin. So so they built that, and that was built in 1910. So this gin has been made this style of gin has been made for a long time, but this distillery itself is about 115 years old. So this is Mahone Gin, which is the second one. So I followed their recipe sort of in terms of what they recommend for a gin and tonic, which is a good tonic, which I use the Mediterranean with this since it has...
By what brand? I'm sorry?
Fever Tree.
Yeah.
Since it has some citrus in it. And then they recommend then a sprig of rosemary, and then they said a peel of lemon, and I just put a little squeeze of lemon in it. So give that a try.
Cheers.
And let me know what you think.
Ting ting.
It's got a different flavor to it.
Yeah,
I mean, in a good way, but it
is in a good way, but you can smell the rosemary. Obviously, you got a big sprig in there.
Yes.
But it doesn't... It's not off-putting. I'm not trying to say that.
No, I get it. Yeah.
But it does have it does influence.
As the kids say, I jazzed this one up a little.
You zhuzhed it?
I zhuzhed it.
Atta boy.
I need a little zhuzhing.
Also,
but just like when we tried it on its own, it's that at the end you get some of that like flavor from it. And I can't. Gosh, there's something on it. I don't know if it's like it's not licorice because of that star. I think there's star anise or something in there, but there's something just a little medicinal that's in there that I can't quite figure out. Yeah, and it didn't outside of the juniper berries being aged 2 years in the wine base. Like,
Right.
it didn't give a whole lot else, but there's definitely other stuff in there. So I don't think... I would be very surprised that those two ingredients would create that taste.
But this is a very solid gin and tonic. It's not super juniper at all. Just like we talked about it in the neat, when we were trying it neat. It's very mellow, and I think of this one as probably being more of a summer drink. Although, if I had to choose between the two, that first one was so good. I would definitely find that one and buy it in several bottles.
Yeah, I would actually say, so this is, like I said, the third Spanish gin I've done, and none of them I feel are super juniper forward, and I wouldn't hesitate. For friends who are like, I don't like that, I would be like, no, try it.
Yeah, because like Alchemist isn't either. And yeah, totally.
I would like, give this a try. And I think you may be pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
So these little islands off in the Mediterranean are making
They're doing all right. They're doing all right.
Pretty good gin. Fancy that.
Boy, I guess
Now, did you get to any of those islands, or were you just on the mainland?
No, we were just on the mainland. Now, I think... I'm trying to remember. My son and daughter-in-law.
Your daughter-in-law.
They went to Spain for their honeymoon, and what I can't remember is I thought that they went to an island, but I don't know if they did. They were definitely on the Mediterranean for a bit. Then they went into Madrid later. So what I can't remember is where they were on the Mediterranean and whether it was in an island like this.
There are a couple of other ones too, but
I mean, there's a few there, but anyway, he'll of course correct me at some point in time, probably right after he listens to this, I'm sure.
By the way, that was a fabulous wedding.
Thank you.
I really
had very little to do with it, so that's why.
No, it was a beautiful ceremony. It's the first time I'd been at that cathedral, and the reception was a blast. Very cool spot down at the zoo here in town. Yeah. So it was good. Good time. It
was really cool. It was a lovely night. It wasn't too hot. It was, for an August wedding, it was
great.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And,
it was It was awesome.
Even a titch of rain there to kind of give the Irish blessing. And there we go. Everything was great.
Yeah. What I have a hard time wrapping around is that you have kids old enough that we're marrying them off now.
Yeah. Thank you.
I feel like it was just a couple years ago I was telling you had to get up for class.
Yeah.
Because you occasionally would miss class.
And sometimes that happens even today. I don't have any class. As my wife could tell you, I have no class, but I'm still late for whatever.
I can still remember you sprinting across the tundra. I'm like, running late? You're like, shut up!
The worst was when I woke up and realized that, my exam had started 45 minutes ago.
Yeah. Well, it's a learning experience.
Yeah, this is before they had, cell phones and watches and everything that kept you on time.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or if you bothered to look at a syllabas and figure out what the exam time was.
Yeah. Or where the class was.
Or what it was in.
Yeah.
Well, no,
all of those
wasn't
things.
Quite that bad, but it may or may not have been the second time I took astronomy.
Was it astronomy?
It was. Honest to God, my parents are going to love it if they listen to this, I'm sure.
Listen, you turned out great.
I turned out. It was fine. Jury's still out.
I've been around for like 2/3 of it.
Mm-hmm. This is true.
So it's all been.
So it's so far so good.
Yeah.
But yes, it was a lovely wedding, and things were great. So
yep, and they're settled in on the east side of the state.
They're living in Beverly Hills.
And would you like to mention what you just got to celebrate this week?
And so yesterday, we're recording this on a Tuesday, and yesterday was Monday, November 18th, and my son passed the bar between. He took the bar before he got married, but didn't get the results until end of October-ish. and had passed the bar. And so yesterday was his official swearing-in ceremony at the Wayne County, at downtown Detroit, at the Colin Young
courthouse.
It's not a courthouse anymore because it's like a municipal building.
Oh, okay.
But it used to be the courthouse.
Okay.
It's the one with the Detroit statue,
the Spirit of
Liberty,
Detroit.
Spirit of Detroit, and then they just about kitty corner from that is the Joe Louis fist.
Yeah.
Right there on the riverfront there. So
he's following in his dad's footsteps.
Well, I tried to dissuade him, but unfortunately.
Wait, did you say you went over Sunday then before the ceremony?
Yeah.
Did you go to Lions game?
No.
Did you watch it though?
Yeah. I watched it before I came down. Actually, the funny thing is I didn't watch much of it. I only watched about like the first 2 possessions, and we were over at my in-laws for a late birthday celebration for Kelly and I. So anyway, we were having dinner and we weren't watching the game, but I was checking it on my phone as I knew it was going to be a bloodbath, and it turned out to be that.
I have to say it's a little surreal being a Lions fan right now, especially when Sunday or Monday, due to the Chiefs losing, our Detroit Lions suddenly are the odds-on favorite,
number 1.
To win the Super Bowl,
What kills me is, and I'm still kicking myself that I didn't do it, but I told I wanted to bet $100 on Detroit to win the Super Bowl back in like August or whatever. And I didn't do it. Still time.
You would have got decent odds.
Time. I don't know. I got a decent. It was like, I don't know what it was, 20-1 at that point in time or what.
It was they were like plus 1,200 or something if I remember. Mm-hmm. But yeah, anyhow. It's been a fun fall.
Yeah, with them. And my Steelers are doing well, so I got both my teams.
They are one of the bigger surprises for me this year.
You know, both the Fields trade and the Russell Wilson deal, man, what? They're looking like geniuses right now.
Yeah, and their defense is. Just consistently plays well. Just keeps them in the game.
Yeah.
And I feel like their offense got off to a rough start, but now they seem to just be clicking.
And they drafted a couple of their linemen from this last draft, and they're both, at least the one guy is a definite starter, the center, Frazier or whatever, and he's very good.
Yeah.
So, they're a good team.
Yeah.
I would love to see that for a Super Bowl, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh, that'd be quite amazing. Yeah,
it would be.
That would be something.
I may have to get tickets for that if it happens, but I won't.
So, anyhow, I will just enjoy it. So, okay, we will do
trivia.
2 of trivia, and then we'll go to off the beaten path.
We need some redemption here.
Well, okay. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll see. All right. We've got another Prohibition question.
Yeah, seem to have been a run on these.
Questions about bootlegging and Prohibition. During Prohibition, blind pigs, with quotes, became popular. Patrons paid an entry fee, received a free drink, and did what? And this is multiple choice. A, wore masks. B, saw an animal exhibit. C, played party games. Or D, ate barbecue.
So based on the research I did for the Outlaws, when we talked about the striped pig, I want to say it's B, the animal exhibit.
And ding, ding, you are correct, sir.
Woohoo!
That is correct.
All right.
Well done. So is that like, now what, we have whistle pig and things like that?
I don't know, maybe, but it was a way that they worked around. They worked around it, you know.
It's kind of like when we went down to the south and went to a golf course in Alabama and wanted to get some alcohol. Shocker, you're playing golf, you want to drink, right?
I would.
Yes, and it was, but it was a dry county.
Oh.
And so we're like, what? Well, if you join our club, then you can get booze. And it's like, okay, so what's the hook? How much does the club cost? It's $1. What? You gotta have an entry fee. What's the lowest entry fee you can have? $1. Okay. So that's how they get around it.
A beer, $20.
Yeah, no, it was only like, well, I mean, it was a golf course, was more.
So
expensive.
once you're in a club, you get your own jurisdiction. All
Yes, you get to freaking. It's like, okay, why do we have these things then? And I'm the lawyer asking the question, right? I should know it.
Well, yeah,
but such is life.
Huh? I'm glad you were able to figure out a little workaround.
Yes, well, yeah.
Okay. Anything else about Spain or anything that you want to chat about before we go off?
Go visit.
Path?
Go visit. Go visit it.
Yes, I would definitely like to someday. So
it is phenomenal.
Okay. My Off the Beaten Path is completely inspired by you.
What?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, just because you recommended. So I'm allowed to say.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. Do you want to guess what it is?
Well, you did one earlier.
I did. Do you remember which one I did earlier?
Yeah, it was Name of the Wind, right?
Oh.
So you're doing the Spanish one this time? Or I thought you did
They're
that
both
one before.
Spanish.
Okay, well, go ahead.
No,
I'm forgetting.
Today I'm doing Name of the Wind.
Oh!
Before it was Shadow of the Wind.
Shadow of the...
For a very short time, you liked finding anything that had wind in the book title and then recommending it.
Yes.
So, yes, I had done Shadow of the Wind.
Shadow of the Wind was the Spanish. That was the Spanish
one back when I did Alchemist Gin with Miles.
Yes.
Who says hi, by the way. So
hello, Miles.
No, so today is the Name of the Wind, but I thought I could do it because you're so familiar with it as well that we could just have a quick chat about it. So this is the first book in what is supposed to be a trilogy called the King Killer Chronicles.
The rumor has it it's a trilogy.
Yes, there are 2 out and then one offshoot.
Three, though, not just one offshoot. There's like 2 or 3 different offshoots.
Oh, there are? Oh, I only saw one.
Yeah.
So, okay. But this is the first book in it. It's called The Name of the Wind. It came out in 2007 by Patrick Rothfuss. What is it?
Rothfuss.
We'll go with that. So, and then I have also read the second, which is Wise Man's Fears. But basically, it is the story of what is Kvothe? Is that how you would think you would pronounce it? Kvothe.
I think that's how you pronounce his name is Kvothe.
Kvothe. Okay, and it's basically he is sort of like the king killer allegedly, and it's telling his life story to this character called the Chronicler. And I would say if you had to use a short sentence to describe a very big book, it's like a book about music, magic,
coming of age,
action, and coming of age. Yeah, especially book 1.
Yep.
So, this book would fall inside the fantasy genre, I would say.
For sure.
I have not read much in that area, but I thought that book was great. I thought book 2 was even better.
Yeah.
I've recommended the first book to a couple of people. Everyone of them who have read it have really liked it. It's just super well written. I thought it was a good time actually of the year to do this because if someone's looking like to ask for something for Christmas, this is a book then that you can like read over the winter and you can just kind of get lost in it. And I think not only that, and if you really like the book, which if you're into fantasy at all, but even if I would say if you're not,
but this has got because this is really.
There's some fantasy in there. There's magic.
Oh yeah, it's totally. It's kind of an allegory of storytelling. The whole thing is, but anyway, it's been out for more than 10 years now. I want to say it's
the first one. Yeah, came out.
The first one like 12. Yeah, I was going to say 12 years or so. But they have a 10-year edition that they special released that has drawings in it and some illustrations and stuff and some other special stuff in it too. It's a hardcover. I got a copy of that.
Oh, nice.
Either 1 or 2 Christmases ago. I can't remember which. So I've got the trade version and then that version too. I got to meet Patrick Rothfuss.
You did?
Yeah. I don't think I told you the story.
No.
So I can't remember how long ago it was.
and we took Aaron. I say we. So Steve, my friend Steve Boland and his son Alex, and Aaron, my son, are about the same. Alex and Aaron are about the same age, or a year or two apart. Like a lot of the same stuff. They're into, all things like Star Wars, gaming, and all of that, right? So we took them to C2E2 in Chicago, which is basically the Chicago version of Comic-Con.
Okay.
And it's in McCormick Center, so it's a big freaking deal. I mean, they have a huge area for you to go look at, and they've got, what's really cool about it is they've got all of these artists that are there that do like graphic novels. I picked up a bunch of graphic novels when I was there and got to talk to some of those artists and writers. And then in addition to that, we were like, we had kind of walked the floor, and they have sort of breakout sessions where you can go and kind of meeting rooms and get to see different things on different subjects, so like TV shows or movies or something like that. They may have characters that are there or whatever. So they had this one that was on fantasy novels and fantasy writing.
Okay.
And we went to this panel, and there were 4 panelists, and all different fantasy writers. Patrick Rothfuss was one of them. There was another a writer, and I cannot remember her name, her last name. Her first name is Natasha. She does a bunch of fantasy stuff too. I've only read bits and pieces of her stuff. And then there was another author there. His name was Peter Brett. And the reason why I remember the 2 guys is because later on, they were down on the floor. They had like a special book signing going on. And we had not read any of their books or materials. We just listened to them on the panel, and they were really engaging. They were talking about other authors, and they were talking about some of the panelists that were there and raving about their stuff, and they're really good guys. And so anyway, we happened to go down on the floor, and they're having this book signing, and there was like hardly anybody there talking to these guys. And so my buddy Steve started striking up a conversation with him, and I started talking to him. And so we got signed copies of books from both guys, and free copies actually of Peter Brett's book, because they were like paperbacks. And his books are awesome too, if you're into kind of fantasy stuff. But talking to Patrick, super nice guy, and he's very involved in doing stuff with like combating world hunger and poverty. And so anyway, really engaging guy. So I went back, I bought his book on the spot, and we took it back and read it. Both Steve and I did, and we're like, this is awesome. I mean, this is really, really, really good. And beyond being fantasy, it's just really
it's super just well written. The characters
and the way that the way he describes and writes about music.
Yes,
he's not even a musician, and he can do that. And it was just like I hadn't read anybody like that who could describe it that way, and he was phenomenal. So anyway, I recommend them too, and I'm recommending them to you. And
they're great.
I'm waiting for, I think it's the Stone Door or something like that, which is going to be the 3rd one, and was supposed to be out last year, but I think he's quite a perfectionist, and so I think he's kind of holding on to that until he gets it to a point where he's happy with it. Which, if you think of the first 2, yes. But he's starting to get into George R.R. Martin territory here. It's like, hey, guy. And I don't think he lives terribly far from your sister. I mean, he lives in Madison area.
He went to the University of Wisconsin. Not in Madison, though. In, I just read this.
But he was a teacher. He's a professor there, too.
Yep.
Or was.
And so he might be in Madison now. But, both of those books, just super well done. I don't hesitate to recommend them. And if you're just looking, and it's a pig.
Oh yeah,
it's like over 600 pages.
Yeah, but
it's a book that you can just, if you enjoy getting lost in a good read, that's a good story. And like I said, I thought the first book was good. I think the second book was great. I enjoyed the second book better. And like in theory, each book is actually just like one day, but it's him telling the story. But it's a story of like his life, and it's I just don't want to really give too much away because there's a lot.
Yeah,
there's but
there's so much. You can't really give it all away, but it is truly a great book. I mean,
yeah,
I would recommend it too. So there you go.
So again, it is called The Name of the Wind.
Okay.
So
Shadow of the Wind. I forgot about
Shadow of the Wind is the.
I know it's the Spanish novel.
The Spanish novel, which is excellent, and it's part of the Cemetery of Forgotten book series.
Yes,
which is great.
Yeah. Okay. So I have two. I know. I actually have more than that. I know. I have more, but no. I'm only doing a second one this time, just because it's themed.
Okay.
And maybe you'll appreciate it. I don't know. Whatever. You're gonna hear it anyway, so who gives a shit? So my first one's a movie.
All right.
And it's a movie from 2006.
Okay.
Stranger Than Fiction.
Oh, it's great. So good.
Will Ferrell, Emma Thompson, Dustin Hoffman, Maggie Gyllenhaal, and Queen Latifah, and actually a small little bit with Tony Hale in there too.
That movie is so well done. I've seen this movie.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's on my. It was funny because I was thinking about something for you, kind of to, not that you need other topics, but like movies that you see on television, like you're flipping through, and like what ones.
Yeah, I gotta see. This
do you have to like
on my list of ones to do? Hang on, let me check here.
So while you're thinking about that, it's. I'm not going to give a lot of it away, but for those of you when you heard Will Ferrell and me say him, this is not your Will Ferrell of your typical movie.
Not at all.
He plays the straightest role that he's ever played in this movie, and he's very genuine. He's actually somebody you kind of.
It's like when Adam Sandler was in Punch Drunk Love.
Yes. Yeah. I was gonna.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally off of his out of his normal realm.
Yep.
Playing an actual real character and playing it within boundaries, so he's not just going off and going crazy.
No,
right?
he's playing it straight.
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
like the straight man in the movie.
And so he plays an IRS auditor who wakes up hearing a voice in his head, and he realizes through the course of whatever that he's literally literally the protagonist in a novel, and he's hearing the author's voice in his head talk about his life and his story. And so it takes him on this journey to figure out whether he's living a tragedy or a comedy. And I'm not going to go into what all of that is and what happens to him, but essentially it's about living the life you want and valuing the time that you're given. I don't know why it only got 73% on Rotten Tomatoes. Frankly, I question today's youth. It should be much higher.
I think people
it should be much higher.
No, that doesn't do it justice.
Yeah.
The concept and plot of the movie are amazing. Like whoever came up with that concept, it was great. The acting, especially with him and Maggie, is so well done in this movie.
My favorite scene in that movie, there's a scene in that movie that's one of my favorite scenes in all of cinema. And I'm not going to give it away, and I'll tell you off whatever.
Okay.
But it's such a great movie.
No, I can't recommend it.
And it's set in Chicago, and so there's lots of stuff you see here and there. They don't hit you over the head with Chicago, but there's different things that you see into it, and you can, from a Midwesterner, you kind of, I know that building.
No, that movie is a hidden gem.
Yes.
It is so well done.
And what's so sad is that you can't really find it streaming for free right now.
Really?
Really. I did my homework.
Yeah.
So you can on the Apples and on the Amazons and all that stuff, you can rent it.
Okay.
For $4 or whatever it is, or own it for $8.
It is worth renting for $4.
It is. I mean, so
that's money. That is money well spent.
Yeah, that is. So it's a huge recommendation. I'm glad you liked it too.
But no, that movie is fantastic. It's so good.
I remember reading about it actually in, I'm trying to remember what magazine it was. All they did was they published the script, like the first scene. And for
was that Empire, that used to be the magazine about all the movies and stuff?
I don't know if it was Empire. I want to say it was something completely off. Like it was Esquire magazine.
Oh, okay.
Esquire magazine did it, I think. And so they published like the first scene or so, where anyway, I read that and I went, I have to see this movie because this is so original and exceptionally well written. And then they did it justice, and it's an excellent movie.
No, it is totally worth a watch. The
guy who directed it also directed Monsters Ball, Finding Neverland, and Quantum Solace, so he's a solid director as well. Mark Foster. Check it out, Stranger Than Fiction. Then my second one, and I'm doing this again, theming it up. It's an album, by Miles Davis, called Sketches of Spain. It was released in 1960. If you can believe that.
I can believe it.
Well, it was before Miles went off in his jazz fusion, coke-induced whatever, which turns a lot of people off as far as listening to it, where it just meanders all over the place. Sketches of Spain is really very well orchestrated, and it without, I don't know how else to describe it, it sounds like it should be the soundtrack of Spain. I mean, it's got really, it's muted at times. The horn that he plays, it's part trumpet that he plays, and then another flugelhorn or whatever it is. It's very, very, very low and intentional, kind of, and then it builds, and you can hear these castanets coming into play, and other instruments, and it kind of builds and builds, and then it kind of comes crashing in at times.
And so, what did you say it's called? The
Sketches of Spain.
So had he traveled there? And
he had not traveled. The interesting part of this, when I was doing my homework for this, was it actually came. The genesis of it was I think it was his first wife at the time, in like 1959. She dragged him to a concert from Robert Iglesias, and it was a flamenco concert. And he's like, and you can imagine, he's like, I'm going to this freaking concert, whatever. He comes back from the concert, he buys every fucking flamenco album that he can find in New York, and then he becomes obsessed with it, and he sits down, and they have to find some of these rare recordings. So he found a number of the sounds and stuff from old records, and kind of then amalgamated it into this album. And I listened to it when I was in Spain, because we were on a bus, and so I would put that on my earphones and listen. And it was just, I'm going by the countryside going, this is totally, it's like the soundtrack for this whole trip was that album. And so definitely check it out.
Miles Davis.
1960. Sketches of Spain, Miles Davis.
Wow.
And it's not his most famous album. It's one of his more famous albums, but Kind of Blue is his most famous album, but this one is often overlooked, and it's probably, I like it as much, if not better at times, than Kind of Blue.
So good to download, especially if you're going to visit the country.
Yeah, but good to download if you want something to chill.
Sure. Yeah.
And
it's good to download.
Keep in the background, because it's a gorgeous. It's just gorgeous.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And we will catch you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Feel free to subscribe to us on whichever platform you listen to your podcasts. Also, I want to take a quick minute to thank Darin VanderMolen for all of his help behind the scenes. Without him, this podcast probably wouldn't even exist, and his help is greatly appreciated. Hope you have a great week, and we will look forward to seeing you the next time we go down the botanical trails. This has been a Shits and Giggles production.